Hi, I'm Mike from Michael's Motor Cars, located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I'd like to show you a car I'm very excited to be presenting. Come on over and take a look at it. Our business is located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and every now and then a car pops up that has been around all the time and it was right under our noses and we never knew it. This car belonged to Jerry Mitchell, who was a customer of mine for many years. He's still alive and well, but I was selling him new cars. And then about a year ago, he started talking about the Triumph in his garage, which of course piqued my interest. And as it turns out, Jerry was an engineer, and he bought this car back in the mid-'80s, 1985 or so, as just an old used Triumph. And he drove it for approximately 5 years, at which point it was an old, tired, slightly rusty Triumph. And then he decided to embark on a major restoration on the car. So Jerry started the restoration in the late 80s, early 90s. So 89 to 90, he started taking this car apart. He moved a couple of times. He was out in the Midwest, then he was up in the New England area, eventually ending up in Pennsylvania. And I've known Jerry for years, and he's a great guy. So this Triumph has been undergoing a 25-plus year restoration. The sad part is Jerry never finished the car. He's still alive and well, but it just reached the point he just couldn't quite pass the finish line. And I think anyone who does a restoration knows how that feels. So he contacted me, I looked at the car, we purchased it, and then we did all the steps to complete it, turn it into a drivable running car. So I want to be clear, when I talk about new things on the car, and we have a ton of receipts, Jerry was very accurate in keeping track of everything. This is over the course of the last 20 years that all these parts were purchased. When we received the car, we went over all the hydraulics. So the clutch master, brake master, brake rear wheel cylinders, they're all brand new. We just got them. We put them on the car because that was all frozen. Also on the motor, and Jerry had the motor completely rebuilt by a Triumph specialist up in New England, but it had not been started. So just to be sure, we dropped the oil pan, we primed the oil pump, we ran the oil pump before we started it, we oiled up the cylinders really well, got everything ready, and then, like most Triumphs, it pretty much started right up. The saving grace for us is there was never any gas in the tank, so we didn't have to deal with bad gas issues. So what we have here is a beautifully restored car that now has about 100 miles driven by us on a finished restoration. All of the chrome trim was redone. All of the lenses are either new or redone during the course of the restoration. There are a few minor blemishes in the paint. There's one, and we take photographs of all of this. There's one, that's right here, which occurred if you put the bolt into the hood hinge and it's a little too long, you can dimple that. And there's a little tiny mark right there. Those are the kind of things that drive you crazy when you're trying to do a perfect restoration. Also, when we purchased the car, we put a brand new set of tires on it. They're Vredesteins, which we like because they look correct and proper for the car. So the tires are brand new from us. We also have, which I mentioned, and we'll post all of this, many, many, many receipts on the car that Jerry did over the years. Kept Moss Motors, the Roadster Factory, all those guys in business. There's about $24,000 worth of parts over the last 20 years. We also had a heritage certificate on the car. It is not the original motor on the car. It's not numbers matching. So somewhere before Jerry bought it. And he told us he bought it from a guy who was dealing in Triumphs in the Midwest. He specifically did not want an overdrive car at the time. He was a college kid or a younger person, and he wanted to get the regular 4-speed, which is what this car is, and he specifically loved the wire wheels, which I think look great on these cars. So this car, when it was new, went to Canada originally, but it was always a North American car, and it was meant for US, Canada specs. It came with the wire wheels, a heater, laminated windshield, this color configuration, the yellow, which they call Sienna, black hood, which is the top, black interior. Came to Newport aboard the vessel Gauzdale. Gotta love the British. So we have the full heritage certificate. When Jerry painted the car, he did what a lot of people did back then. He just chose a modern yellow color. So this is not the exact Triumph yellow. So I want to present this car as just a great car Look at all the photos, particularly the underside of the car looks like the top of the car. It's beautifully done. We do have an invoice where the body was off the car. They painted and cleaned and went over the frame of the car. And then the paintwork was actually done by some people that worked at Pruitt & Sons Company, which is a well-known restoration shop in York, which is close to us. The paint's gorgeous on the car. Very nicely done. So come on over and take a look at it. The seams on the car are typical Triumph TR6. I mean, these cars, this is how they built them. Jerry remembered, he thought he either had a quarter panel or a fender done. He can't quite remember. It probably was the quarter because these cars rusted back here. It is correctly done. The body shop used no filler. The variant, we always look at this first. This is your first level of how good was it done. This is correct. There's no filler in there. They didn't try and smooth over that. Top is new. We actually purchased a new, and we did the soft cloth. And the top itself is also the fabric, the soft fabric. It's not the vinyl. Jerry spent a lot of money on this car. So we purchased a matching cloth tonneau and had all the snaps put in. It's going to do the Triumph snapping noise because the door stays are all new. Door cards, he replaced all of those. He redid all of the upholstery. The carpeting was new. He redid the dash cap, the dash lower piece. And I've done these myself. Anyone who's done these can appreciate the work that goes into doing that. He actually, being an engineer, he loved to get into the weeds on things. He re-veneered the dash himself. So this is a newly veneered dash. It's the original dash, redone, and it's beautifully done. His workmanship was very nice. Typical engineer. Everything on the car was nicely done. Coming along the back, it's beautiful. One other thing to point out, and this is a little idiosyncrasy, he polished his fuel filler. This should be chrome. I think it's kind of cool the way it is. It looks much older, but that's polished. It's not chrome. The rear taillight lenses are perfect. The rear bumpers are perfect. I suspect he bought all that. The tag on the side where it says TR6 is correct because in 72 it's just supposed to be the TR6, no Union Jack. He did the correct paint finish on the back, on the black. Looks gorgeous. Coming into the trunk, and this is just to sort of show some of the detail work he did. This is painted. This is nice and chrome. This is nice. The hinges are nice. He has a whole manual that comes with it. We have the obligatory new Thor hammer. It's never been used. I want to show you this just because it goes to the level of the restoration. Of course, the carpeting was new. He purchased a new cover that goes over the spare tire. I've actually never seen one of these where this little guy's still working. And of course, it has a spare and a knockoff tool. And all of this is beautifully done. Coming along this side of the car, same thing. The seams are exactly the way they should be. New tires, the wheels were gorgeous. This side looks the same. So I think whoever buys this car, you should purchase it with the thought you're going to have your first year. It's going to be a shakedown year. I mean, this is a car, it's like it just came out of the restoration shop. We have it running and driving. The engine purrs, it's beautiful. Please look at our driving video. Great oil pressure, the temperature's good. But I suspect after driving this car for a summer, you're going to be tightening up things like any TR6. But what a great starting point. I mean, it will be interesting to see how this car does. It's really cool in the yellow. We have, of course, a clean Pennsylvania title on the car. I think we would welcome the eventual buyer of the car. He can talk to Jerry. He's a very nice guy. He'll tell you everything he did on the car. And it's a sweet driving car. Driving it right now, it just has a really nice feel to it. So this is going to be a really fun auction. I've been working on this car myself for quite a bit, the last 6 months really, trying to really dial it in and drive it and make it as good as we possibly can. So ask us any questions you may have. Again, it's not done to concours. There are a few things where it could have been painted, the bolts along the fender line of the hood, maybe they should be painted, I'm not sure. That's for the Triumph people to say. But what a great starting point, and what a great car to just have and enjoy just the way it is. Thanks for taking the time and looking at our car.